Hello, everyone. Today is Monday, December the 18th. I'm Ryan Hill.
I'm John Galantis.
And you're listening to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have any questions for Dr. Shah or suggestions for new topics, send us a text to 252-582-5028, or you can email us at contact@clearviewtodayshow.com.
That's right, and you guys can help us keep the conversation going by supporting the show. You can help us share it online with your friends and family. You can leave us a good 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. Absolutely nothing less under any circumstance and for any reason. We're going to leave some links in the description to help you guys do just that. Today's verse of the day is coming to us from Psalm 69, verses 30 through 32. It says, "I will praise the name of God with a song and will magnify him with thanksgiving. This also shall please the Lord better than an ox or bull, which has horns and hooves. The humble shall see this and be glad, and you who seek God, your hearts shall live."
You know, oftentimes when we read about the sacrificial system in the Old Testament, it can just seem like a drudgery. It can just seem like something that just kind of bogs you down. And really, truthfully, it was meant to be that.
That's
it was
right.
meant to show us like our need for a Savior. And when we look at what God has done through Christ, especially here at Christmas, when we look at what Christ accomplished for us, being born as a baby, living a sinless life, dying on the cross, and then rising again on the third day, it should prompt a spirit of worship in us.
And I think there's this move to, not even a move, there's just this natural human tendency to want to go back to that drudgery in our relationship with God. Jesus has come and has given us grace, established this new covenant under his blood. But we still want to impress God. We still want to show him all the things that our church is doing, all the worship songs that we do and all the services and all the outreach and all the stuff, not to help people here on this earth, but to impress God, or even worse, to impress the people around us. And it just makes you feel exhausted.
Yeah.
And that's why there's so many churches who around Christmas time feel so drained. They don't feel energized by the stuff they're doing because they're not doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, it's like the church in Ephesus that lost their first love. You lost the why. You lost the why behind what you're doing. And we want to, not say this in a way that condemns you, because I've been guilty of that.
I've done that.
Like just kind of going through the motions, going through the drudgery, but you got to take a step back and remember why it is you do what you do, why it is we worship, why we're so busy at Christmas, because there is something worth celebrating, that Christ came and he died for us. That is worth our celebration. That is worth our energy. That is worth using every opportunity to praise and worship our Savior.
I'll give you an example right now with the play, the winter play that we did just this past weekend. I didn't, which honestly, I wasn't nearly as involved as you were, but I didn't feel overwhelmed, stressed. I didn't feel that way at all like I have with previous plays. I felt like the entire thing was fun. It was energetic. I know it was a ton of work, but I never once felt like, man, I wish we weren't doing this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. There were some times that I felt the crunch. Like, oh my gosh, it's showtime. Like we're getting close. Like, oh, do we really have this ready? Is this lined in? Is this lined in? But we had a great team working together. Us working together. Dr. Shah offering leadership, guidance, especially his forward. Even more than that, like technical aspects. He was like, hey, change the lighting here. Hey, move this around, because he's got an eye for that. He's got an eye for stage, for broadcasting, for multimedia. It was enjoyable, even in the busyness of it, because it was busy. Saturday we were here. The actors came in at 8 a.m. So we were here until after the show was over on Saturday. So it was an all day thing.
How do you feel now that it's over?
Oh man, I feel like just. I feel lighter. I feel
Really?
like a mental load has been lifted.
Do you feel the sadness of, like, because they say in like theater and drama, you get so into the characters that you start to feel sad once it's
100%. 100%. Those post-show blues are a real thing.
Really?
Because, we've been doing this for, auditions were back in September. So we've been living and working alongside these characters that have developed for months at this time. So, to suddenly have all that come to a screeching halt, it's like, like, I'm happy to, not have to be here for hours and hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays anymore until the spring play. But at the same time, I'm like, it's kind of bittersweet. I kind of miss it.
You think about like the average person who watches a TV show, like or like from September to now to December, they've probably gone through like a few different TV shows, watched a couple different movies with their spouse, like they're like reading some books. They're engaging in like at least 10 to 15 stories in that time span, but to stick with one the entire time, and then have to really dive into it. And like most people, they'll watch a TV show or a movie and be like, oh, that was good, but they're not thinking through like, why is this character doing that? How do I make myself feel like her? And then once you actually do that and you live in that for like 4 months, then to be like, all right, it's over. You don't have to do that anymore.
And you're just like, oh.
It's like, no, I'm kind of, this is where I live now.
I know.
It's like, no, we got another show coming up.
I walked through our costuming area and just saw the costumes hanging on the racks and not on those characters anymore. And it was like heartbreaking to just kind of like, oh man, oh, there's Mr. March, and oh, there's Marmee, and oh, there's Joe and Beth and Amy and Meg, and just kind of to see them not as those characters. It's like, I mean, the magic is kind of gone.
I think what most people want to know is, how did you get Dr. Shah not only to act in the play, but to wear a beard?
I'll be really honest with you. The beard was his idea.
The beard was his idea?
The beard was his idea.
In the 10 years that I've known him, he has never once wanted to even grow. I think he's shaved every single day.
Yeah.
He's never, I don't think I've known him to really skip a day of shaving.
Yeah. Now this was a prosthetic beard.
Right.
It was a false beard. So we had to like glue it onto his face every showtime. But it was his idea. He wanted to do it.
I want to talk to him about it after the break.
Yeah.
Because first time I saw him with just the mustache, and I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And then like an hour later, he was on stage during dress rehearsals with the beard, and I was like,
full beard and everything.
He was like a Civil War uniform. He was like a Union chaplain.
He was a chaplain for the Union Army. That's the character he played.
Let's take a break and then come back and talk to him about it, because I was really interested to know what his take on the beard was.
Absolutely. And it was a wonderful show. If you guys have questions about our show, Little Women, or what the next show is coming up, we already talked about a spring show. We'll let you know give you a sneak peek at that. Write in and let us know, 252-582-5028. Or you can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, my name's Ellie.
And I'm David.
And we want to take a minute and let you know how we can actually serve you as you're listening to Clearview Today.
The Bible paints an extraordinary picture of who we are as a church body. The mission of Clearview Church is to lead all people into a life-changing, ever-growing relationship with Jesus Christ. A huge part of leading people is praying for them. A big reason that Christians have unanswered prayers in their life is because they're not praying.
You know, 1 John 5:15 says, "And if we know that he hears us, whatever we ask, we know that we have the petitions that we have asked of him." If you're listening to the Clearview Today show, we want to know how we can pray for you as well.
There's a number of ways that you can get in touch with us at Clearview and share your prayer request, but the best way is by texting us at 252-582-5028. You can also send us an email at prayer@clearviewbc.org, or you can download the Clearview app on iTunes or Google Play. You know, on that app, there's a dedicated prayer wall that helps us to get to know what's going on in your life, how we can pray for you, and how we can take any necessary steps to get you moving in the right direction.
Thanks for listening. Now let's get back to the show.
Welcome back to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have any questions or suggestions for new topics, send us a text to 252-582-5028.
That's right, and we are coming... Wow.
Go for it.
All right. We are coming at you live from the Clearview Today studio on this fabulous Monday morning with Dr. Abadan Shah, who is a PhD in New Testament textual criticism. I also didn't know this, but you did some time as a infantryman or as a chaplain in the Union Army.
The Union Army.
I'm glad during the Civil War time.
That sentence. You did some time.
You did some time. Can you tell us about that? Yeah, I didn't realize that you were in the Civil War. You looked good. I'm not going to lie. The beard, I would have... This is just me.
I'm still laughing when they did some time.
Hard time. That's hard cheese, Dr. Shah.
I mean, the Civil War probably was a hard time.
Yeah, oh yeah. But I'm thinking like On a Chain Gang, Cool Hand Luke style. Dr. Shah in like an orange
different with this.
Should we restart the show?
I think we're good.
No, we're good.
So the play, you were Mr. March.
Yes.
In the Christmas play that we just did here at Clearview.
That's right.
Little Women.
Little Women.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
We finished I feel like we finished strong.
Yes.
One of the strongest plays we've ever done.
Oh, absolutely. My reason to join the play was sort of from Nicole. She said there is a scene where Mr. March gets a kiss on the cheek from Mrs. March because I think it's Joe who sends the kiss, right? And so she said, you need to be on the show. I'm not kissing anybody else. I said, oh, okay. Does that mean I have to be in the show? She said, yes. So that's sort of how I got drafted in the show.
Sort of the necessity is the mother of invention sort of
Drafted
thing.
into the show and then drafted into the Union Army.
Union Army.
Right,
yeah,
right.
I was Mr. March, the chaplain.
And so I thought it was also cool because it would have been just as easy to say this Mr. March won't have the beard, but you went full beard
I had
makeup,
full beard.
the glue, the mustache.
Yes.
You went all out.
It was intense.
I did. Thank you to Ryan and Elizabeth and a couple of our other folks like Kendra and Natasha who were very helpful in all of this, and so glad I did it. So glad I did it.
Well, thank you to you for having a theater ministry here at Clearview. I mean, I know just from us talking and from the ways that you've shared with us, that's your heart is having done theater and seeing the way that it impacts.
People don't know that, but I've been in theater.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
So Charles Dickens, you were in Tale of Two Cities.
That's
I know.
right. I played Sidney Carton, Charles Darnay. It was a double role. Married to Lucy Mannett.
Very nice.
Oh yeah,
very nice. A lot of Charles Dickens.
I forgot those names. They just came back to me.
I know, right? Just like that.
Like muscle. Oh, that's there.
I remember
the
those
muscle
names.
memory.
How did that happen?
Is Oliver Twist a Christmas story? I know Christmas Carol obviously is.
Actually, no.
I don't know if Oliver takes place at Christmas or not.
Right,
If it takes place at Twistmas.
Twistmas. Right, and let us know if Oliver Twist is a Christmas story.
Here's a good question. Because a lot of churches, when they hear that we have a theater ministry, what they think is what the vast majority of churches do. We write like a 5-minute Christmas skit, like a little Christian skit, and just do it on Sunday morning. They don't think or they don't assume that it's a months-long production for 2 full nights.
Yep.
How many people would you say were at the play? Like 400 per night?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on the tickets that we took.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think
certainly if you include all the people who were on stage and backstage, I mean, we're approaching like 450.
When we say that we have a theater ministry, these are like legitimate plays, legitimate productions that we put on every single 2 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, Christmas play, and then we've got one coming up in the spring as well. We're excited, gearing up for that already. But the thing I appreciate the most is that it gives people who are inclined toward the arts.
Yeah.
It gives them an opportunity to use those gifts and those talents, and everything that is done through Clearview Theater is framed with our goal is. Yes, we're going to pursue excellence. Yes, we're going to memorize lines. Yes, we're going to have really excellent tech. But our goal is that people would understand the gospel.
That's right.
Our goal is that people would understand that God is a creative God and He engages His people through story.
Yeah, everything we do in the theater ministry is what I'm talking about, is to get people to maybe cry a little, laugh a little, and while they're doing those things, their mouth will open wide enough for us to drop the pill of the gospel.
Yeah. That's right. And we've had people, ask us like what you're doing and the things that you talk about on the Clearview Today show, they're not related to the Bible at all. They're not Christian, but this is a Christian show. And yet fiction is one of the things that Jesus himself used constantly to prove his point.
Right. It's called parables.
Right. Right. He told fictional stories that were to teach us something, or like you said, to show us a mirror of ourselves.
That's right.
And the best fiction, especially Little Women, the best fiction that's out there holds up a mirror to the human condition and says life is like this.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that's kind of what I was going to ask. Why Little Women? How did we land on that play, especially for a winter Christmas play?
Yeah.
Well, Little Women, I came to know about Little Women when Nicole and I got married. Prior to that, I didn't know that existed.
Right.
And she rented a 1994 movie starring Susan Sarandon. And I did what most men do when a girly movie comes on.
Either fall asleep or
complain.
Gripe a little bit. Yeah.
Or make fun of it.
Yeah.
Or it's like, well, why don't you just do this? So,
Yeah.
I was, you always feel like you know so much better on how that character should handle a situation.
Right.
A male would have done this. So I did all of that. I even suggested watching The Tombstone, which is the all-time greatest movie.
Of course. Those men know how to solve their problems.
That's right. That's right. They solved it real fast.
Little Women, you got the very last scene of the play. They're still talking about the same problem from Act 1. I'm like,
no, that would have been long solved.
yeah, this is a bunch of women sitting around talking about their problems, and it's like, well, art imitates life.
Oh, Terminator.
Yeah.
Just terminate it.
Yeah.
If all else fails, send a murderous robot from the future to take care of
It's
the
like
problem.
Skynet has created a problem. We're just going to shoot at that problem
Right.
until
Or
it
like
stops
Lethal
moving.
Weapon,
Yeah.
you know, of course, like Mel Gibson style. Just go ahead and handle it. You know, I am crazy. I'm Lethal Weapon. They call me the Lethal Weapon with Danny Glover. You know, go out there together, man. Those are the classics.
And then you see these four women sitting around, they're just talking about their problems, and women go, yes, that is what I like.
Yeah,
That-
our burdens are here. Our road is before us.
But
Oh,
even
boy.
Nicole, they love it, and they it speaks to them.
Well, you know, when I began to like pay attention to them is when we had our two girls. Rebecca, of course, in 1995, Abigail in 1999, and that's when I went on David's suggestion. He helped me phrase that from, get ready for this, Tombstone, Terminator, and Lethal Weapon to Tiara, Temper Tantrums, and Little Women.
Very.
I love it.
Did you like that?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That is beautiful.
That was
David,
that was
thank
slick.
you. Thank you. I give you credit for that.
You wrote
Love
that,
that.
Dave? Very
yeah,
good,
he
man.
helped me. This
Very
is
good.
just the way his demented mind works. So that this movie is not a movie. It's a classic novel of the American life. And it has gone through 4 remakes that we know of. 1918 was a silent film. Then 1933, 1949, 1994, and 2019, with many other modern retellings in between. And so it is not just any little girly movie or girly show or novel. This is a classic for a reason.
Yeah, it's an American. Well, I love the way you say that. It's a classic for a reason.
Yeah.
Because the best writers, they know what they're doing, and when they write, even if they didn't intend for it to be as big as it is, there's some impact.
Yeah.
There's emotional impact in their story.
Well, the best writer, I mean, we're talking about Louisa May Alcott, who wrote this book. G.K. Chesterton said, you know, she's a great writer, maybe not as good as a Jane Austen. Okay, that's the way he frames it. But on her own right, she is a tremendous writer.
That's true.
And so she wrote this in 1968. Now, keep in mind, Alcott was writing from the age of 8, publishing from the age of 8. She published some poetry, and then occasionally she had some books published. And then Civil War broke out in 1861, and she went to serve as a nurse. In 6 weeks, she got sick with typhoid fever and had to be hospitalized. And while hospitalized, she wrote these sketches on life inside the hospital called Hospital Sketches, which was published in 1863 and got some attention because people were like, we love the way this girl writes, whoever she is. And then she kept on writing under pseudonyms. A.M. Bernard. She wrote novels under those names, and they were kind of racy novels. You know, nothing like Little Women.
Right.
Racy, kind of like the play within the play, right? What is it?
The Witch's Curse.
Witch's Curse. They were sort of like that.
Wow.
Come, follow me. We die tonight.
Oh,
kind
my
of
lady
thing.
love.
Lady love. Yeah, they're kind
Death
of racy.
to my foe.
Yeah, they were like that. And then in 1868, towards the end of the Civil War, right? Thomas Niles, a publisher, approached her, kind of on the prodding of Alcott's father, to write a small, lively novel for little girls or young girls. At first, she said no. She said, "I never liked girls, and I don't know any other than my own sisters and older sister Anna, younger sisters Lizzie and May. Other than that, I don't know anybody." But then reluctantly, she began writing. And she completed the first half of the novel. Get ready for this. 402 pages in 6 weeks.
The first half
Yes.
of the novel.
402 pages in 6 weeks. Like you are an author, and
Right.
that's
tough.
That's
Very
insane.
tough.
That's very difficult.
Staggering
to do.
pace.
Now, if you think it's just filler, words, like just putting things on paper so you can make 402 pages, yeah, you can do that. People do that all the time when it comes to college papers and stuff like
Yeah, there's like
repeating
Had
things.
that paper.
yeah. It's like this has to be 5 pages. I have 2 pages worth of stuff that I want to say. Time to break out the thesaurus.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm going to rephrase it and rewrite it and pad it. No. To this day, there are societies based on Louisa May Alcott's work, Little Women. There are people who are writing papers. There are edited works, but different scholars in English literature who have written papers on different aspects of this work. And it is still amazing what a great job she did and how she put things together. Nothing like the Bible, okay? We know Bible is the Word of God and it's on a whole different plane. But this is very good.
Yeah.
And so for her to do this, she was exhausted. She literally collapsed.
No, I bet.
And what she didn't realize, and what people didn't realize, is in the first 2 weeks, they printed about 2,000 copies, sold out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sold out in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. And people fell in love with this family going through the ravages of the Civil War. This father, mother, 4 girls, and they especially fell in love with Jill Marsh, this free-thinking girl who was hot-tempered, on one hand, kind of avoiding that stereotypical feminine perfection, but on the other hand, she is so nostalgic. She don't want things to change. She wants her family to stay the same way. Nobody grows up, and we still are in the attic making little dramas and plays and having fun in the snow. She didn't want to grow up.
I think that's really interesting that you say that, because it would be really easy to look at a character like Joe and just be like, see, even now she wishes she was a boy. But that's so surface. That's
very surface.
That's a very surface way to look at it, and it's a way to put modern day, and I'm using quote, morals onto a character that's not what it was about. It was about her not wanting to grow up.
Well, people want to steal these characters,
right?
And what we're doing is we're kind of reclaiming them and saying, no, let's go back to the context. Let's go back to the history. Let's go back to what was really intended. And we're not going to let somebody else steal it and make it something other than what the author intended.
Yeah. Right. Her wanting to be boyish is representative of that freeness and innocence of childhood.
Yeah. Right.
Because I think, and one thing I was looking at during the play is she's seeing that her sisters are growing up around her.
And she hates it.
And so when you have to do those womanly things, it's just, I mean, I think even now, like, women kind of have to mature faster than men do. Right. And so she's like rebelling against that. She doesn't want to grow up. And that's the heart of who she is.
Yeah,
everything. Everything was a reminder to her of time just passing right before her. She even says, there's a line in the play that Joe says, she says, I wish wearing flat irons on our heads would keep us from growing up.
Right.
And right on the heels of that is Meg coming in, her older sister in the show, Meg, who comes in and talks about how she's writing a letter to Papa, and she has this romantic interest that is courting her as well. And it's just a reminder to Joe that time is like slipping through her fingers.
Yeah. She sees that when boys grow up and mature, there's still that carefreeness. They get to go off to war, which we know war is not a fun time.
Thing,
No,
but there's that camaraderie.
It's kind of romanticized for her.
Yeah, there's that camaraderie. There's that friendship, that bond. There's still that innocence when men grow up, and she sees the women around her not having that.
Yeah.
But I see where people can be very tempted to say, see, she just wishes she was a boy.
No,
it's
that's
like you are not
true.
looking
You're very
into it.
surfacey, and people who are doing that are no different than pickpockets.
That's right.
Who are taking things away from other people.
Yeah.
Now, this is a semi-autobiographical account, as you know. Alcott grew up in Concord, Massachusetts. Her father was a transcendentalist. Now, transcendentalism was a 19th century movement among writers and philosophers. And you know Emerson, right? Ralph Waldo Emerson. Henry David Thoreau. These are people who were transcendentalists. And it was kind of like an idealistic movement that focused on the unity of all creation, the inborn goodness of humanity, sort of focusing on your insight rather than logic. Forget about logic. What do you feel? How do you feel? What do you think? Because you have the answer in you. I mean, even we do that these days.
True.
Some well-meaning aunt will say that, honey, you know. You know what? You know.
Yeah.
That's kind of a transcendentalist. Like, I don't.
I really don't.
Like the truth is just manifested in you. All you have to do is think along.
You know
enough and you'll
inherently
find
the
it.
right thing.
Get in the zone and you'll have it.
Right.
So this was the kind of movement. And of course, this movement fell apart because we don't know.
Right. Anyone who's honest with themselves would tell you that.
Right. We are sinners by nature. We're born dead in trespasses and sins. No, we cannot just live independent of everybody. Just take a walk in the woods. No, we can't do that.
Right.
We need God to take a walk in the woods with us. We need Christ in our lives. So anyways, her father was sort of eccentric. They were in a commune for a while. Started a school, very weird ideas in the school. So it kind of fell apart, and the family really suffered even to the point of starvation. But nonetheless, they grew up loving each other.
Right.
And they had profound respect for mom and dad. And mom, Mrs. March is known as
Marmee.
Mm-hmm.
They love their mom. And of course, that's a lesson for us too.
Yeah.
There should be respect for our parents. Now, the various episodes in this Little Women are loosely based on the four sisters. Of course, Jo is Alcott herself.
Mm-hmm.
Meg is based on her older sister, Anna, who loved acting. Beth is based on her sister, Lizzie, who caught scarlet fever and lived for a while, but then died at the age of 22. And Amy was based on May, who loved painting, went off to Europe to learn painting and all that. So that's who she is. And then this was a time where women's rights were coming to the surface, and women could not have many opportunities other than maybe teaching. Go be a teacher. But they want to do more. And the more would be like, just go ahead and be a reformer. Go for against, slavery, or be for temperance or something like that, or prison reform. That's about all you can do. And Jo March, or Miss Alcott, Louisa May Alcott, what she's trying to do is to say, no, I want to do more than that. I want to be a writer.
Yeah.
So this is really a story of her life. I mean, even the name March, her family name was May, so she wanted another month. So she chose March.
Wow.
I mean, it's kind of funny to think about it. Everything is kind of laid out that way.
Yeah.
One thing that you said during the prologue to the play, during the foreword, and I think this is something that you've said on the show before, but that we often think that history was not kind to women, and it's because of things that we see even presented in Scripture.
Right.
We say that the Bible, or not we say, but people will say that the Bible put women down or kept women in their place, so to speak.
Right, and that's not true. Everywhere Christianity went, it elevated the status of women.
That's right.
Now, for me, it's a special story because it reminds me of the many memories of growing up. I can still to this day remember walking down the hallway and hearing the girls laugh in their rooms, or looking out the window as I'm sitting in my recliner and studying and watching Nicholas and Thomas and Abigail and Rebecca playing on the little tree, the swings and all. Do you remember that? Or running after the dog or whatever. I even remember some of those tough times when I had surgery and all the kids were concerned, and when the dog died, and all. I mean, these are all parts of growing up, and the reminder for us is that life changes.
That's true.
The message there is that life changes, but Jesus never changes.
Yeah, I know. I'm in that stage of parenthood right now where my kids are at such a young age. It's almost easy to trick yourself into thinking that they're the constant in my life. You know what I mean? They're the rock that'll never change. But Gavin already is 3 years old. He's growing up.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's insane.
So we have to know that things will change. But if we have a constant in life, then we can face any change that will come our way.
That's true.
And learn how to adapt to that. If you have nothing constant, then you will really struggle. There are a lot of people who really struggle when life changes. For us, we've gone through some struggles, but nothing like that because Christ is at the center of our lives. So as long as we hang on to Him, we can navigate through anything.
I guess the question is, and this is the final question because I know we're about to run out of time, but after the play, do you feel like you understand women any
Absolutely not. I still don't understand, especially the younger women. Like when the girls were like really young, it was fun. Do this, okay. Come here, okay. Can you go get me that? Yeah. Hey, you want to play this? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm scared of that. It was very predictable.
Yeah.
And then they hit that age. I don't know if it's a middle school or whatever it is, where all of a sudden it's like, I don't get them. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Something has shifted.
Yeah.
And that shift doesn't come back until like 30 years of age. So you go, what happened?
Yeah.
Now, there are times they're fun and normal, but then there are times they're like, I don't get it. Now, I want to quote from G.K. Chesterton. I mentioned him earlier. He said this about Little Women in his review. It's a great book, by the way. He reviews different authors. He said, I cannot understand this strange and simple world of women in which unselfishness is natural. in which spite is easier than self-indulgence. You remember the spite in the novel?
Oh, yeah.
What is a spite?
Oh, yeah.
When Amy, little sister, gets mad at Joe
Throws her book in
for
the
not
fire.
being included, and then she throws Joe's notebook, her
Yeah.
precious stories, in the fireplace.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
In which spite is easier than self-indulgence. I am the male intruder, like poor Laurie, and I withdraw. I back out hastily, bowing, but I'm sure that I leave a very interesting world behind me.
Wow.
What a powerful line.
That's a good review. Yeah.
You know, because men and women are different, and that should be celebrated, not neutralized. Right now in America, in the West, there's a war against women.
That's true.
And I feel sad for women because some of them are buying into that, and I'm like, no, this is a war against you.
Yeah.
This is a war against you to not only enter into sports, but everywhere else.
Right.
And we should stand up for women and say, no, they're different, they're special, and they are fearfully and wonderfully made by God.
Yeah, you should never feel empowered by this movement because they're literally tricking you into fighting their battle for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's a beautiful novel. I'm glad our church performed it, and thank you for this staff, because without not just Ryan, Elizabeth, but also John, and Ellie, and David, and Nicholas, and some of the other staff members, they were all part of making this possible.
Yeah, it was a huge team effort, and I cannot say thank you enough to everyone in the room, especially you, Dr. Shah, not just for for setting up the theater ministry and for pushing us forward in that direction, but for being an excellent Mr. March.
Thank you.
An excellent Mr. March.
I was a chaplain.
Yes.
On the Union side.
Yes.
And I think some people are writing into the show. They want to know, will the beard make a reappearance? Maybe in real life.
No.
No beard.
That did not go well. Maybe a natural beard would have been good, but boy, this was the most
Having to glue that thing
time.
on.
I felt like I had a big a squirrel on my face, just scratching away
Yeah.
the whole time.
I didn't think you would do it for the rehearsals. I thought we would do it the night of, but to put it on for every rehearsal.
I did it on purpose because I wanted to get used to it.
Yeah.
This is not one of those elastic strap.
No,
beards.
this is
This is
glued on.
high quality, spirit gummed, glued on. I mean, it was
So it looks like
it was
a
a process.
Yeah. Everybody loved it.
Yeah, oh yeah, they did.
We'll throw some pictures up so people can see them.
Yeah.
If you guys enjoyed today's episode, if you have questions or suggestions for new topics, maybe you learn more about Little Women and you'd like to learn more about the book and where you can purchase a copy and how it applies to your life, write in and let us know, 252-582-5028, or you can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com. Don't forget that you can partner with us financially on that same website. Also, want to encourage you to go over and check out mightymuscadine.com and grab some of those products. Use promo code TODAY, that's TODAY, for a sweet little discount on your purchase.
That's right. And every single dollar that you spend with them supports us here at the Clearview Today Show. So thank you for shopping with mightymuscadine.com.
That's right. What's coming on tomorrow's episode, John?
Tomorrow, we are talking about just some of those pagan roots that Christmas has. I mean, you guys know, y'all already know the Saturnalia Festival, the winter solstice, all this stuff. Christians just kind of stole that stuff, right? Wrong. We were right on. Getting so tired of people saying that. We're going to talk about that a little bit more on tomorrow's show.
That's right. Can't wait for that discussion. We love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow on Clearview Today.